All right, so today we're going to be learning about how to hold the bow. Now, a cello bow and a bass bow happen to be held the same way and are about roughly the same shape. So I'm going to be teaching you how to hold both of them in this lesson. One difference would be the bass bow would usually be a little bit thicker. This happens to be a cello bow. It'll be a little bit thinner than a bass bow, but like I said, I'm going to tell the same technique is used to hold both of them. So I'm going to show you how to hold it with this cello bow here. All right, so let's first talk about the structure of the bow. So if we look right here, this piece of wood on the top here, this is simply called the stick. It's the main structure of the bow. Now on this side we have hair. This is actually the hair from a horse, and this is the part of the bow that's in contact with the strings and playing the sound. We don't want to be touching this with our fingers. That can ruin the finger oil on our fingers, can ruin the horsehair. So avoid touching that as much as possible. So stick, hair, up here at the top is where the stick kind of becomes this like a pointed hammer shape, and where the hair kind of gets tucked into the stick. And this is just simply called the tip of the bow. Now down here, we have this part right here. This is an adjusting screw, and what that does is it adjusts the tension of the hair. Because we do have to tighten and loosen the hair. Right now I'm going to loosen the hair on this bow here. Just going to keep loosening it, and you'll probably eventually see that the hair eventually just kind of falls apart. Just demonstrating there. Yeah, definitely way too loose. This is not how we would put it away. If you look closely, you can see some of those horsehair strands are little. You can kind of easily catch some of those individual horse hairs there, and it'd be easy for them to be broken. There, like that. So we're going to be tightening this. I'm just going to tighten the horsehair again. And as I tighten this up, you'll see the hair get pulled closer together. Here, you probably see there, it's really sagging there. We don't ever want it that tight, or loose. So I'm just going to keep tightening it. See the hair starting to get pulled back together. There we go. Now, right here, the way how loose I have this, you can see the hair is pretty close to the stick. This is how I would put the bow away, where it's still the hair still pulled together and the stick is pretty close to the hair. Now, notice that this stick is bending in towards the hair. If we come up to the tip, it's really wide and far apart. But if we come down here towards the bottom, this is also pretty wide and far apart. And right here in the middle, it's narrow. The stick is bending in towards the hair. We always want our stick to bend towards the hair. It is possible to tighten these too much, so much so that the stick and the hair are both straight. We always want the stick to bend. And right here, you probably see I'm straightening it to the point where the stick is now pretty straight. It is possible to tighten a bow too much that the stick is bending the opposite direction. You don't ever want to do that. That's way too much tension on the stick, and you're likely to break it. Now, of course, we need to know how much is just right for tightening this. And there's a simple guide for that. I have right here a pencil. Now, the pencil, when this bow is tightened just enough, the pencil eraser should fit in with a little bit of wiggle room. Now, right now, this pencil, it's fitting right in the between there, but I'm still touching the hair. So I'm gonna tighten this a little bit more so that I can get a little bit more space. And right there, yeah. So just turn it in. The pencil eraser fits in, and has just enough wiggle room between the stick and the hair there. So this is a perfectly tightened bow for playing. All right, so let's just do a little quick recap. We got the stick, the hair, the tip, the adjusting screw, and now this black box here. This is simply called the frog. And most of the time there's a white dot here. My cello bow happens to have a little fleur-de-lis design. And we're going to be referencing this part of the bow quite a bit for how we hold it. So let's first talk. So I'm going to show you. Let me put that away. So this right here, this is how a cello bow and a bass bow is held. So there's a specific spot for each finger and the thumb, and it's gonna feel very unnatural and uncomfortable at first. But the more you work with it, the more comfortable and natural it will feel. So just kind of bear with me. You're probably gonna wanna watch this lesson a couple times just to refresh yourself on how to hold the bow. So let me first show you where the thumb goes. So right here's the frog, and if we were to view this as a frog's mouth, then maybe this is the frog's nose. I'm going to take my thumb. The thumb's going to be curved up right there, and I'm just going to bring it up into right in front of the frog's nose there, so that it's right in front of the frog's nose, curving up into the stick there. Okay, so here. Kind of looks like that, curving up into the stick right in front of the frog. I like to tell students we're going to plug the frog's nostril. Okay, so that's where the thumb goes. Now, right along here, this is the winding of the bow. This is a thin wire that's just wrapped around here, sometimes kept in place with a little piece of leather down here. And this is where it's just simply a little protective grip for our index finger to come down onto. So here's how it kind of looks like so far. Thumb down here, index finger up there. Okay? And the index finger, it can be down here, it can be extended up to here. It depends on how big your hand is or what type of bow you're holding. Now, the next 3 fingers are all 3 of these, and we're just going to take, you'll notice that the side of the frog is a little concave. We're going to take these fingers and curve them down so that the finger pads fit nicely within the concave there. And as I said, sometimes the bow has a little white dot here, so I like to tell students, hide the white dot. The fingers just curve down into place. All right, so we got the thumb curving up into the stick in front of the frog, index finger extending up and doing a shallow hook along the winding here. The 3 frog fingers curving into place right along the side of the frog, fitting nicely within that concave there. And this is how it should look. So this, whether you're playing cello or bass, you should have all these fingers being somewhat perpendicular to the stick there. Violin and viola bows, they would be held where their fingers are more at an angle to the stick. If your hand's like this, that's the wrong instrument. You got to keep your fingers perpendicular there, whether it be cello or bass. Okay, so this is how you hold a cello and a bass bow. There is another type of bass bow also, and that's this one right here. So first, and the main difference between these 2 bows is the frog. So imagine this as a bass bow. This is what would be called a French bow, just how the frog's designed there. Now right here, I happen to have a German bass bow, and take a look at this thing. It is pretty big, pretty monstrous. We even have a longer adjusting screw. This is held very differently from the French bass bow, and here's how. It's honestly easy just to show you with this screen right here. So the adjusting screw, that's going to rest right between your index finger and thumb right there. Then these 2 fingers, these 2 middle fingers right here, they're going to kind of come in to the frog's mouth there. All right, then this index finger comes up above, and then the pinky just kind of comes in right there. So this is how you hold the German bow. This is actually my preference for bass bows, but there are some who prefer the French kind, like this, where you're holding your bass bow with that type of grip. And another thing you may notice about this bow is the hair is black, and some bass bows have the white hair like this, but most of them do have this black hair. It's coarser, and it's going to grip the thicker strings of the bass a lot more easily. So that's the main ways how you will hold your bows. Remember, this is you could say it's the normal one, the French style of bow, and right here we have the German style.